Hello everyone, my name is Deshpande. I am working as assistant professor at KLS Gupta Institute of Technology, India. Today I will be presenting a talk on investigating digital crimes using Python. So in today's talk we will be discussing about introduction to digital crimes, digital forensics, then the process of investigation and the collection of evidence, then investigation of acquisition media using PyScreenshot module, investigation of emails, investigation of embedded metadata, and finally the conclusion. Let us first look at some statistics related to cybercrime. The Internet Crime Report for 2019 released by USA's Internet Crime Complaint Center IC3 of Federal Bureau of Investigation has revealed top 4 countries that are victims of internet crimes. So USA has more than 4,60,000, UK more than 90,000, Canada more than 33,000, and India more than 27,000. Of course, these are just the reported numbers. Unreported numbers can be much higher. According to RSA report of 2015, mobile transactions are rapidly growing and cyber criminals are migrating to less protected soft channels. According to report by Norton of 2015, an estimated 113 million Indians lost about rupees 16,558. So that's roughly about 200 euros on an average to cybercrime. According to an article published in Indian Express on 19th November 2016, over 55% millennials in India are hit by the cybercrime. That is because the millennials use gadgets very often, and these gadgets are considered as soft channels for the cyber attacks. A recent study by the Checkpoint Research has been recorded over 150,000 cyber attacks every week during the COVID-19 pandemic. There has been an increase of 30% in cyber attacks compared to previous weeks. So one reason what we can consider is the uh, job cuts and the pay loss. Let us first define forensic, then we can define digital forensics. So forensic science is the use of scientific methods or expertise to investigate crimes or examine evidence that might be presented in a court of law. Cyber forensics is investigation of various crimes happening in the cyberspace. So examples of cyber attacks include phishing, ransomware, fake news, fake medicine, extortion, and insider frauds. So fake news, fake medicine, you might have noticed in the recent time, that is during pandemic, that many fake news related to vaccine is being circulated, and many things about uh, related to the cure also. And the reason for insider frauds is the unhappy employees who has access to the confidential information of the organization, which can be used against an organization. According to DFRWS, that is Digital Forensics Research Workshop, digital forensics can be defined as the use of scientifically derived and proven method toward the preservation, collection, validation, identification, analysis, interpretation, documentation, and presentation of digital evidence derived from digital sources for the purpose of facilitating or furthering the reconstruction of events found to be criminal, or helping to anticipate unauthorized actions shown to be disruptive to planned operations. So here, if you look at the definition, there are multiple aspects which are covered. So the first important aspect is the definition itself covers the different stages of digital forensics investigation, and it also highlights the importance of reconstruction of events found to be criminal, and it helps us to find the evidence. And the one more important aspect here is that the evidence should be presented in the court of law. Now these are the 6 steps which an investigating officer must follow whenever he is investigating a digital crime. So first one is identification, second one is collection, third one is validation, Fourth one is examination, fifth one is preservation, and finally the presentation. So what happens in identification step is the investigating officer will visit the crime scene, the crime location, and he is going to identify the different objects to be seized. So he has to seize all relevant objects. In case of digital crime, he has to seize all digital gadgets like laptops, mobile phones, all smart gadgets, then also the cables, uh, computer cables, USB cables, and so on. Then the next step is the collection of evidence. Now note here that whenever uh, investigating officer visits the crime scene, he or she may notice that some systems are off and some systems are off and some systems are on. So he has or she has to note down all the uh, states of the system. So if the system is on, then he has to take the picture of it, and if the system is off, still the investigating officer has to take the photo of it. Now, if the system is on, then he or she needs to perform live forensics. So in case of live forensics, what happens is they will collect the data from the most volatile uh, location from the system. So there is an order which is actually defined in the investigator's manual. So the investigating officer has to collect the data from the most volatile section of the system to the least volatile section of the system. So the most volatile data we can consider is the data stored in RAM, and the least volatile evidence we can consider is the data stored on the hard disk. Now, if a system is on, then he should not or she should not turn off the system. So if you turn off the system, then what happens is it changes the state of the system, and the change in state of the system will result into loss of information, loss of evidence. So that's why if the system is on, then the investigating officer has to perform live forensics to collect the evidence. Then the third step is validation. So note here that always the forensic analysis is performed on the copy of the data, not on the original data. So whenever the copies are made, its hash is computed, and after the analysis, hash is compared. So hash of original data and hash of computer data are compared. So it must match. So if it doesn't match, then it's an indication that the evidence has been altered, the information has been modified. The next step is the examination, which is very, very important. So in this step, actually the investigating officer will come to know about the evidence and the relationship between the different pieces of evidence. Then the next step is the preservation. So once the different objects are seized, so it has to be stored in appropriate bags. So there are special bags actually which can prevent the data to be modified through some other devices like magnetic devices. So all these hard disks or even the cables or all these gadgets needs to be stored in anti-static bags or Faraday bags. Then next, it needs to be stored in appropriate room temperature and in a locker in order to avoid the unauthorized access to these devices and thereby avoiding the tampering of evidence. Then finally, the presentation. So if you have performed all these previous 5 steps as per the procedure prescribed by the law enforcement agencies, then you can present it in the court of law. So there is a standard procedure which needs to be followed. So if you don't follow the standard procedure, then court may not accept your evidence. So it is very important to follow the standard procedure laid by the law enforcement agencies whenever you are presenting an evidence in the court. Now let us look at few packages for digital forensics. So these are all Python packages, and note here that these are all standard Python packages. That means they don't have any dependency apart from Python standard library. So the first one is the PyScreenshot, which helps us to take the screenshot of a screen. The next one is QPyry, so which helps us to encode and decode MIME coded printable data. Then we have few more packages to deal with the metadata of audio file and some processing of PDF files. Then similarly, there is a package called as P file, so which you can use to parse and work with portable executable files. So we'll see these packages in detail in subsequent slides. So the first package which we are going to discuss is the PyScreenshot. So PyScreenshot tries to allow to take screenshots without installing third-party libraries. It is cross-platform but mainly useful for Linux-based distributions. Now, if you observe here, it is a cross-platform wrapper. So it captures the either whole desktop or a part of a desktop. Interactivity is not supported and mouse pointer is not visible. So these two are the drawbacks. And one more important point to note here is that performance is not a target for this library. But if you're still concerned with the performance, then you can benchmark the possible settings and choose the fastest one. Now to install, you can use the command python 3-m pip install below PyScreenshot. So in this command, what is happening is PyScreenshot module is installed as a wrapper over below package in Python. So similarly, there are other packages. So you can install PyScreenshot as a wrapper to those packages. Now on the screen, you are seeing some code which is written in Python. So it actually, what it does is it takes the screenshot of the entire screen. So there is a method called as grab, which captures the entire screen, and save method can be used to save the image. Then similarly, you can also take the screenshot of a part of a screen. But in this case, you need to specify the coordinates. So here you need to specify x1, y1 and x2, y2 coordinates. So when you specify the coordinates, what it does is it captures the screen from x1, y1 to x2, y2. So, and you can use again save method to save it as an image. Now on this screen, you are seeing that it is showing some performance. So it is showing on the left hand side the different packages, and on the right hand side the time it is taking to take the 10 screenshots. Now again we are checking the performance, but here we are adding a small tweak, that is we are setting child process is equal to 0. And when we set child process as 0, we can see that there is a difference with respect to the performance, and you can choose the fastest one depending on your requirement. Now you can also make some more settings. For example, you can force some module as the backend, and you can also set child process as false. So in this case, you can achieve more speed. Then the next one is the email investigation. So what happens is nowadays many people are receiving fake emails, and many people are receiving spoofed emails. Now on the screen you can see here that I have received some email which says that update current billing information, and it is stating that it is from Netflix. But if you closely observe the from address, it is not from Netflix. It is from some random email ID. And also what you can do is you can also place the mouse cursor over this try again payment button or any hyperlink in the email. So it shows the exact URL of the destination. So you can observe that in the status bar at the bottom of the web browser. So you can observe here that it is not taking you to Netflix website, instead it is taking you to some fake website. Then this is another email which says that you have won a lottery of so and so amount, and you can contact them to settle that amount. So again, it is clearly a fake email. So you should clearly ignore such emails. So if you contact them, then again you will be in trouble. So these are the fake emails. Then there is one more problem called as spoofing. So it is very easy to do spoofing. It may take just a minute to spoof any email. So in spoofing, what happens is it appears that the mail has come from a genuine resource, but in actual it is not. Okay. So you can avoid spoofing by configuring some settings at the email server. Maybe those settings are SPF, that is Central Policy Framework. So these frameworks needs to be configured in order to avoid spoofing on official email addresses. Now, in email investigation, an investigator has the following goals while performing email forensics. So the first one is to identify the main criminal, then to collect the necessary evidences, then present the findings, and finally to build the case. Then the challenges in email forensics are the fake emails. Then second one is spoofing, and third one is anonymous re-emailing. We have already seen the fake emails, and I have already discussed about spoofing. So in anonymous re-emailing, what happens is that some emails are being randomly sent from the server side. So it's a configuration problem at the ISP or at the email server. So you need to check the email server and make appropriate settings, and you can avoid anonymous re-emailing. So if you want more information, then you can uh, go to the URL specified on this slide. Now, in case of email investigation, there are three main techniques used. One is header analysis, then server investigation, and third one is network device investigation. So you can use header analysis in case of spoofed emails. Then you can perform server investigation in case of anonymous re-emailing from the server. Then you can also check the configuration of network devices. And if there is a problem, you can always correct it. Now on this screen, you are seeing some source code. Again, this source code has been taken from the tutorials point website. So if you visit the tutorial there, then you will find the more details. So what this code does is it helps us to access the headers, body content, attachments, and other payload information of the email. Now what this part of the code is doing is it helps us to extract message body content by using get payload method, and it also helps us to check the MIME type so that it can handle the storage of email properly. So MIME stands for multi-purpose internet mail extensions. It allows us to send and receive multimedia emails. So that is email content which includes text, images, audio, video, and so on. So depending on your requirement, we can only handle certain type of data, and we can handle the storage. So if we don't want to handle the video data, then just ignore that part. So that's a very good part of this code. So you can check the MIME type and you can handle the storage. Then you can also extract the attachments using just a small Python code here mentioned here. Then you can extract the message body as well. Then finally the metadata forensics. Then in metadata forensics, we have to use mutagen with a Python module to handle audio metadata. So you can see here that it supports many audio formats, including MP3, OGG, and so on. So again, it's a pure Python library. That means there are no dependencies outside Python standard library. Now you can install mutagen using Python 3 -m pip install mutagen command. So there is a code on this slide too. So what it does is it takes any audio file as the input and guesses its type and returns the file type instance or none. So in this case, it is taking the file name which has the extension .ogg, and it has returned that it is ogg verbis, and the duration is 346.43 seconds, and 49981 bits per second. Then similarly, you can also handle different types of audio files. So in the uh, code which is on left hand side, we are getting the information related to flag file, and on the code which is on the right hand side, we are extracting the information of an mp3 file. Now you can also get the data from a PDF file. To get and extract the information related to PDF file, you need to use the library called as PyPDF2. So again, it's a pure Python library and it is built as a PDF toolkit. It is capable of extracting document information such as title, author, and other file properties. Then you can split the documents page by page here, or you can merge the documents page by page, cropping pages, merging multiple pages into a single page, encrypting and decrypting of PDF files is possible. So it is a very useful tool for websites that manage or manipulate PDF files. The next is the PE file. So PE file stands for Portable Executable File. It's a multi-platform Python module to parse and work with the portable executable files. So most of the information contained in the PE file headers is accessible, as well as all sections, details, and data. So the structures defined in the Windows header files will be accessible as attributes in the PE instance. The naming of fields or attributes will try to adhere to the naming scheme in those headers. So only shortcuts added for convenience will depart from that convention. So PE file requires some basic understanding of the layout of the portable executable file. With it, it's possible to explore nearly every single feature of PE file format. Then some of the tasks that PE file makes possible are inspecting headers, analyzing of sections data, retrieving embedded data, reading strings from the resources, warnings for suspicious and malformed values, basic butchering of portable executables like writing to some fields and other parts of portable executable. Overwriting fields should be safe here, and packet detection with PID signatures and PID signature generation is also possible. So basically here you are extracting the information related to portable executable files such as .exe files, .dll files, and so on, and it is available only for Windows platform. Then finally, the conclusion. It is very important to follow the standard procedure laid by the law enforcement agencies during investigation process. Otherwise, whatever evidence you might have collected and presented in the court, it will not be accepted by the court of law. There are many open source as well as commercial tools for digital forensics. So commercial tools include Encase and so on. Then learning to develop your own tool is always advantageous because you can achieve the goal very quickly since you can develop your own tool, and it's always fun and adventure to write your own tool. Many tools written in Python are pure Python implementations, that is, they don't have any dependency outside standard library or standard modules. So one more thing what I would like to add here is that in case of examination of the evidence, you can use more advanced techniques from artificial intelligence or machine learning or deep learning, and you can uh, get more useful insights. So thank you everyone for attending my talk. If you have any questions, I can take it up on YouTube or on a Slack channel. Thank you.